faster. Bit. Yes, Mario, welcome. How are you this evening?
Great. You?
I want you to know I am in receipt of your request and I have put you on our holiday list. Is your speech a holiday speech? Awesome. So I added you to the list, all right? Thank you. Lawrence, you are also visiting us again this evening. It's lovely to have you back. Would you like to say hello?
Hello.
Hello.
Good morning.
I missed that.
Yes, it's morning here.
It is morning. Sounds early. All right. Morning. And I saw Vivian, but I think she may, oh, there she is. Vivian, would you like to pop on and say hello? Is our guest this evening?
Yes, Hazel, and hello, club. Warm hugs and warm hello from Manila, halfway around the world. Sending you love and hugs.
All right. Well, we have an action-packed meeting this evening. Before we do that, would you like to take just a couple of minutes here and we can introduce one of our newest members, Khushbu Modi. Could you pin her so we could all see her?
Khushbu, you need to come on camera for us to do that. Can you do that? There she is.
Hello.
Oh, I think we've exchanged an email once, but I have never had a chance to meet you in person. It's lovely to meet you.
Likewise. I'm so
Likewise.
excited, happy to be a part of this meeting.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. So we just wanted to get to know you a little bit, and we only have a couple of minutes here. Could I just ask you a couple of questions and it kind of give us a chance to get acquainted a little bit?
Absolutely, sure.
So what part of India are you from?
I'm from Mumbai.
Okay. Means nothing to me because I don't know my geography very well.
Yes.
And what is one thing in life that really lights you up?
One thing in life that lights me up.
You're
I think
passionate about.
And what am I passionate about? Okay, multiple things. I like Toastmasters. I am an avid photographer. I am also into mindfulness. I love reading, traveling, of course. Yeah, and meeting new people, I believe.
That's enough to keep you busy without a job.
Well, it does indeed.
Do you have a job too that you're focused on? Is there something that's like a career path that you're on?
Yes. So I'm in the family business. That's one of the reasons why I'm back here in Mumbai. I was in San Francisco a few years back. I came back because so we are into manufacturing and exporting. It is a family-owned business, and now I continue the legacy forward. So I manage the operations.
That's very cool. Well, congratulations. Sounds like you've had a lot of opportunities to explore the world and then come back and bring all that richness with you.
Absolutely, I try that. Yeah.
Yeah. I would love to chat sometime. We can talk about mindfulness.
Sure.
And for the paths that you have, is there a vision that you hold, something that you would dream of, that you would love to experience in life?
Sorry, experience with regards to like what you're talking about my bucket
Little
list?
dream that you hold in your future, something you're excited that you're working towards or desiring in life.
I want to deliver a TED talk someday. So I want to get on the TEDx stage and probably deliver a speech. That's one thing that I'm excited about. Not that I'm working towards it, but it's definitely on my bucket list. Yeah.
Okay, could you repeat it? Because I didn't understand.
I said I want to be a TEDx or a TED talk speaker, get on the TED
Gotcha.
platform someday. Yes.
Well, you're in a great spot for that, right? As you build your Toastmaster speaking experience.
Working towards it.
When you have that TED Talk, what's gonna be on? What subject will you be choosing?
I want to speak about gender neutrality, the gender differences, because I am in the manufacturing sector and it's very unlikely for a female to manage 700, 800 plus unskilled labor that I actually deal with. So I just want to break the stereotype and talk about being a female in manufacturing.
Awesome. All right, well, I think that is all the time we have for this evening. Thank you so much for answering my questions, and we warmly welcome you to Professionally Speaking. We're really excited that you're with us.
Thank you so very much. This was incredible fun. Thank you.
And with that, I would like us to kick off this amazing meeting. We have a full schedule, 3 speakers, and now I would like to pass the camera and the microphone back to our Toastmaster, Lindy McLean.
Thank you so much. And Abhijeet, before you spotlight me, could you put us in gallery view? And I'm going to ask everyone to smile for the camera so I can get a gallery view for our newsletter. So let's have there we go. Everybody ready? Yeah, nice, Mario. I like it. Very good. Nicely posed. Thank you. Okay, you can spotlight me again. Thank you, everyone. We do indeed have an action-packed meeting tonight, and we have goblins afoot, and I'm going to address that right up front. We really don't have an answer to why, but we have suddenly come to a realization that we've repeatedly heard members of our club say, I had signed up for, but then my name is gone. And personally, I believe that none of us would take someone out of a role without communicating about it, even me. So I suggest that when that happens, send an email to Linda and we can start tracking it and trying to figure it out. I'm inclined to think there's some kind of bugaboo with the software. Even today, when I went in repeatedly to try to make sure that roles were filled, things changed. And so what I want, reason I'm bringing it up is A, to make an action plan, and B, to let you know that I don't believe anyone is purposely taking you out of roles. And if you're experiencing that, we're really sorry, and help us to do everything we can. We can always come up with a different system if we have to. But in the meantime, we'll move forward. And tonight we have people who are evaluating 3 times, and there are a couple people in our audience who are not. And I wonder, Judith and Karen King, would you like to share your, would you like to give up one of your, would you like help with one of your roles? Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Judith's okay with having all 3. Karen, would you like help?
I mean, if somebody wants to do one, I am perfectly happy. I mean, I can handle 3, but if somebody wants to do that, I am certainly fine. So,
And I can't hear you, Karen, you're muted. Still muted.
I signed up for 3.
Yes, and I would like to share it if we can. Is that all right with you?
I guess so, yes.
Well, you don't have to, you can keep them. I would just let Arun, would you be willing to take one of Judith has content 3 times. Would you like to take one of those? Which speaker, 1, 2, or 3?
I can do 2. I'll just randomly choose.
Okay, perfect. And Karen King, I will leave you on all 3 of yours since you feel
so
strong.
what do I have?
And so you have content of the first speaker and of the third speaker.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you,
Oh,
everyone.
you can add another one for me in one of my places.
When we get to the last speaker, I will request if someone wants to take the Karen's visual evaluation.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So in the meantime, we will go ahead and get going. Mr. Zoom Master, would you spotlight our first speaker, please, along with me?
spotlight the room.
Sure, that's it, yes. And making sure, I think our timer has her hand raised. Can you see the timer? She's making googly faces.
Yeah, I can now.
Okay,
Thank you.
perfect. That's great. Elena is working from her dynamic leadership path tonight. She's doing an icebreaker, but it's a 5 to 7 minute talk, Madam Timer. Elena Brenna has practiced her speaking and leadership skills since joining Toastmasters about 2 decades ago. So she's had a bunch of practice. Tonight, she'll talk about something that she at first thought was a problem only she experienced after speaking publicly. Being curious, though, she did some research and discovered her feelings were not unique. Then, when she started speaking out about this, she realized that at least some of her fellow Toastmasters have the same experience. Some of you may already be aware of it, but Elena wants to make sure that you meet and treat the post-performance hangover. Please help me welcome Elena Brenna.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, and thank you to my fellow Toastmasters. Good evening. I'm so glad to be here to share some of my experience with you. What I want you to get out of this talk tonight by the end is you will know what a post-performance hangover is. You'll be able to identify whether you experience this, and I'll give you a few tips for dealing with the post-performance hangover. So first of all, what is it? Well, as you may know, we are made up of a lot, our bodies pump out a lot of chemicals and hormones and whatnot. And when I did my research about why I would feel this high during a performance and then this low afterwards, no matter how the performance went, I may have done well, it may have gone flawlessly, or I may have had a hard time, but no matter whether it was good or bad, I would feel low the next day. So I started looking into this, and I found the work, an article by Diane Brooke, a psychologist who was writing in Psychology Today about this cocktail of hormones, all these endorphins, the happy chemicals that we have going for us when we're preparing for and doing the performance. It could be a speech, it could be singing a song, doing a dance, or an athletic event even. And we've got all this rush going, and then afterwards, those chemicals drain away and we're in a low. Just in October, I was preparing for an event at my other club. We had a whole team getting ready, PR, trying to attract guests. And we were all excited. We were all preparing our spooky stories for Halloween. And the guests came, we had snacks, we told our spooky stories, the audience enjoyed them. The next day, my brain is giving me these negative messages. That wasn't such a great event. You didn't do that well. Yet every objective measure tells me it was a successful event. We had 5 visitors, 2 of them joined, and we got good feedback on our stories and speeches. So this is one thing. I want you to be able to recognize when you have that post-performance hangover, that's that low, and your brain cannot be trusted at that point to be telling you the truth. It is in a hangover. It's not telling you any of the positives. It's focused on anything negative and will even make up negative stuff. So recognize that if it happens to you. So once you know what it is, and now you've recognized the post-performance hangover, if you experience it yourself, what are you to do about this? Well, the main thing that I have found over the years, once I realized this was what was happening to me, is what I did back in October. I treated myself with kindness. And this is what I would suggest to you. First of all, the next day, plan to do something fun and pleasant. If possible, try to make it an easy day for yourself. If you can, and you're sort of an extroverted type who gets energy from meeting with more people, plan to have lunch with a friend or coffee with a friend who's going to be supportive. Maybe talk to a fellow Toastmaster who can understand the kind of feeling you're having after making a speech and having that post-performance hangover. Breathe, drink lots of water, do all those healthy things that we intend to do all the time. Take care of both your body and your mind as you go along. What else can you do? Maybe set a new goal because you're all excited. You enjoyed that high. Well, it's okay to enjoy that high and maybe look forward to the next one. Set a goal, sign up for another speech, sign up for a role at a future meeting, have something to look forward to later. But most of all, as I said, be kind to yourself. So now we know what the post-performance hangover is. We have to recognize it when we're experiencing it, and then plan for it and plan to be kind to yourself. Because tonight, just like any other time I'm speaking, I have been basically a cocktail of chemicals, shaken and stirred as I stand here before you. I want you to enjoy that high, but then when you hit that low, be able to shake off that post-performance hangover. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Elena. And I can certainly relate. In fact, this year when I competed, it was so helpful that I didn't get my recording for 2 weeks. By the time I actually got it, I was able to look at it with something a little like a normal brain. So that's good.
Absolutely.
Madam Timer, may we have 2 minutes on the clock, please, for our evaluators to prepare? Thank you, Madam Timer. We will kick off with, oh, no, sorry, I misinterpreted the screen. I can't hear you, just see your hand waving.
Yes, I did it a little weirdly, that's all. I decided to do green, yellow, red.
Oh, okay, so there's more time yet?
Yes.
Okay.
Although now I'm late on my yellow. Uh-oh. I will just have to say it. 10 seconds. Time.
Thank you so much, Madam Timer. Kicking off our evaluation series is Karen King on visuals evaluating Elena's speech. Go ahead, Karen.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Elena, I always love to hear you speak because you speak in such a way that is so clear to all of us who are sitting in the audience. I think it was unfortunate tonight that you were in beige and your background was in beige. But other than that, I thought that your grooming was perfect. Your mannerisms were wonderful and matched your words. I got a little caught up in the visual, the motion of your hands working constantly. I would like to see you maybe when you do your pauses, when you're putting everything together for the next paragraph or word or however you divide your speech into pieces, to just slow that action down a little bit and then start it up and let your hands do the movement, mainly when you are expressing something that's even more emotional. So in other words, to have different speeds as far as the motion of your hands are concerned. I loved your phrasing and the word pictures that you created through that phrasing when you used the word shaken, the phrase shaken and stirred. And that also gave you a chance to stop and do a little bit more with your full body. And you did do that. And I think you can probably do that in just a little more empathic emphasis, with more emphasis. The title of your talk too, I thought that was another word picture that was so really wonderful. All in all, I enjoyed your speech immensely, and I always love to hear you because you always have such wonderful thoughts for all of us. Thank you, Elena. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Karen. On vocals, we have Kushbu, Modi, and I didn't say that before we started. Kushbu, are you prepared to do the vocal evaluation?
Yes.
Yes, okay, wonderful. You're on.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Elena, what I love the most about your vocal variety today, your vocal speech, because I had turned off the camera, so I was only hearing you speak. I felt you were extremely clear. There was great clarity in all the words that you enunciate or pronounced that helped me connect better with you, as I could understand everything that you said crystal clear. The second thing that I liked was you accentuated your speech using verbal cadence and inflection. The moment you said hi, you definitely spoke that. You were proud and you were loud in saying that. And then the moment you said low, of course, you said that in a faint whisper. So there was definitely a verbal highlight that you tried creating when you used the words high and low. Now, Elena, what I would have loved to see, or what I would have loved, sorry, my bad, what I would have loved to hear was a little more implementation of a little more pauses, I would say, and a little more pacing out of the sentences. Now, you had a chance when you said the next day. You probably could have taken a pause after that and then spoken in a faint whisper telling me that the next day, my mind had negative thoughts. This would have allowed the sentence to, this would have given the sentence the space to land and breathe in me. And that would have just accentuated the message a little more. I also felt that this was an extremely informative speech and you had a lot of content that you gave out. Before you actually gave those titles like be kind to yourself or everything else that you said, a few pauses after that would just again give me time to digest and grasp everything that you had to say. Also, I felt talking about the pace of your speech, as I said, I felt it was a monotone and you could have inflected or injected a few like when I say pacing out, you could have paced it out a little more. Like you could have been striking fast when you use those words like stirred and shaken off. And then you could have slowed down when you wanted to say, be kind to yourself. This would all in all just create a verbal highlight and strengthen the impact of your message. I absolutely loved how you can deliver your message with great clarity. This is something that I look up to. And I also love the way you enunciate and pronounce your words. Love the verbal cadence and inflection. It was absolutely a verbal delight to hear you speak. Thank you. Over to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Khushbu. Next on content is Judith Ferber.
Elena, I have never heard of post-performance hangover. This is the first time ever. And it's been quite fascinating to learn about this, what that means. And you certainly described this quite well. The high and low emotions that we feel and what happens afterwards, the next day, and then how we deal with all this. And so the thing is that my suggestion is, there is no reason for you to tell us at the beginning what you're going to tell us, that you had investigated this, and hopefully that we will find out at the end, this, the other thing. We'll find out at the end by the time you finish your speech, what it is that actually you were going to say. So this, what you said in the introduction, it could have been said as an introduction to your speech. My idea is, because I am a storyteller type of a speaker, is to start the speech that I had this experiences so many times, and I had no idea how to deal with it. I didn't know what it was. And then I researched this and find out, what does this mean? What does this, where did you get post-performance hangover? Well, we have lots of hangovers, right? Of different kinds. But this is really a fascinating subject. I certainly want to know a little more about this. And then the whole idea is that you had this because you've been a Toastmaster a long time, you've given a lot of speeches, but you were not sure exactly why you experienced what you experienced and how to deal with it. And there I was. Next day, I had this, my endorphins worked one day, and the next day I felt, I don't know, depressed or something. And what do I do? And so, and there you have all these different things that you were doing. Because the fact is, I know people say this often, that we all experience. Well, we don't all experience everything, but you personally experienced it, and you told us. And what is it that we should be doing, which I thought it was really quite wonderful. And I certainly personally going to follow this, because I often, or sometimes rather, have this experience, and now I know what it is. So I can say to myself the next day, oh, that's what I have. I have a post-performance hangover, and now I can put a name to it. So thank you so much for the information.
Thank you very much, Judith. Now we move to the round robin portion of our evaluation. And I believe in order to make time work tonight, we have adjusted from 5 minutes down to 4. So Madam Timer, if you would give me green at 3, yellow at 3.5, and red at 4, I would appreciate that. And Mr. Zoom Master, return us to gallery view, and then I can keep an eye on who wants to speak first. Vivian, was that a desire to give some feedback?
Yes, if I may, I'll make
Please.
it short and sweet. I would like to hear the mood in the words. If you were giving a recommendation that was happy and loving, did it sound happy and loving? Or were you depressed? There you go. Let us pretend that I don't speak English. Would I be able to establish the many moods you had? And thank you very much. Now I know there's a speaking version of postpartum depression. I feel so bright after this.
Thank you, Vivian. Who else has something they'd like to contribute? Arun, I see you on camera. Oh, Judy, go ahead. You need to unmute.
Yeah, okay. My only comment is I loved some of your phrases, Elena. I liked the phrase, the brain is in a hangover. That was a good one, but I really loved, I'm a cocktail of chemicals. Great word usage.
Thank you, Judy. Anybody else? Abhijeet, is that your hand going up or no?
Okay.
I will just chime in that I actually liked your beige on beige. I know you didn't stand out visually, but I thought you looked very elegant.
You did.
It's not beige, it's pink.
It's
I can
pink.
see
It's
in
not
person
reading.
it's
It's not
pink.
reading as pink on your screens, huh? Oh well.
A very kind color for postpartum hangover, depression, speaking, headache. Good. Anybody else? Any final contributions for Elena's speech? Great, then we will go ahead and move on. Karen, I see you moving to the camera. Mr. Zoom Master, if you would spotlight me and Karen, and I'll make sure that she can see me, the timer as well. Oh, the other Karen, the in-room Karen McNamara is the next speaker.
Yeah.
Pro speaking room.
Pro speaking Kingston.
And before we do that, let me just confirm that the evaluators for this speaker I have down are Karen King for visual, Khushbu Modi for vocal, and Arun is stepping in to do the content on this one. Is that what everyone else is set for?
Karen, before you start.
And what's the time?
The time is 5 to 7 minutes, but I'll let you know that in my introduction as soon as I get there.
Oh,
Quite all right. Karen, let's have you talk to me for a minute. Let's get you centered on camera.
Can you see me now?
Not
Can
yet.
you see me now?
Talk a little more.
Am I centered yet?
Nope, you're just hiding
How
out.
about- Are you picking me up now?
keep talking, Karen, until it finds you.
Top, it looks like, in the center.
Yes, but that's too much. That's not enough. We want to see more of you.
You want to see more of me? Okay. Well, I had a great Thanksgiving. I don't know about the rest of you, but there we go. Now you can see me.
That worked.
Okay.
And can you see the timer as well, Karen?
Let's see. Yes.
Okay, perfect. Great. So our next speaker is Karen McNamara, and she's working from the Dynamic Leadership Path on Level 3 elective Inspire Your Audience, and her speech time is 5 to 7 minutes. Think for a moment of someone or some incident in your life that influenced you. Perhaps a teacher, coach, parent, or pastor guided your life path, coached you, caused you to pivot, or helped you through a tough time. Flipping that question, have you ever supported someone else? Today, Karen McNamara, a speaker, author, and distinguished Toastmaster, will share a story of full circle impact. Each of us chooses how we act and what we say. We may never know the effect we have on others, or we may learn of impact years later. How we connect matters. With her speech entitled, You May Never Know, please help me welcome Karen McNamara.
It was 1983. Remember the 80s? Big hair, aviator glasses, leather jackets? Well, I was invited to a party. It was one of those parties where you don't know most of the people. I got to the door. It was packed. It was hot. And I realized it also had a faint smell of a men's locker room I would have rather been anywhere but where I was. Then across the room, I saw her. She had gray hair and glasses, but I knew it was her. So I braved the crowd and I moved and snaked my way across until there I was right in front of her, Mrs. Nelson. I gave her a big hug. And I said, Mrs. Nelson, you may not remember me, but oh, I so remember you. You see, 25 years ago, you were my kindergarten teacher. I was sitting in the front row, and all of a sudden I felt wet. I looked up at you with fear, with longing, with desperation and hope. And you looked at me with a knowing smile. You walked up to me and spilled water right in my lap. Mrs. Nelson, in that moment, you turned me from a little child who was embarrassed and teased to someone everyone wanted to help. In that moment, you changed my life. Because of you, I became a teacher. And I was able to repay that very same act of kindness to one of my students, Sarah. Now, in 1993, I was in Washington, D.C. At a conference. I had a little free time, so I decided to go shopping. Now, I know, a little unusual for a woman to want to shop, but I did. So I got to a busy crosswalk. I'm stopped until all the cars are stopped. And then I stepped out and bam, up and over the car and into the ditch. I laid there. I opened my eyes. Okay, I was alive. That's a good sign. Could I move? Well, I moved one leg. I moved the other leg. I could raise one arm. I couldn't raise the other arm. And I willed it, and sure enough, I raised both arms. I knew I would be okay. Well, then this tall, pencil-thin man in a fancy suit came up to me. He was the man who hit me. And we exchanged insurance information. Ironically, he was an accident attorney.
Okay.
A little later, I was in the emergency room. They scanned me from head to toe after I told the doctor what had happened. And then he came out with the results. Now, ma'am, it's just a miracle. It is just a miracle because you should have all kinds of internal injuries and broken bones, and instead, all you have is bruising. And you're going to be just fine. Well, a few years later, guess where I am? I'm back at the mall. Yes, shopping again. And a man comes up to me, looked a little familiar. Ma'am, thank you for saving my life. Okay, now I'm confused. He looks a little familiar. He sounds a little familiar, but I don't know what this is about. That ever happened to you? Ma'am, you see, it was my first day in the emergency room, and you were my first patient in the emergency room, and you told me how you were hit by a car at a crosswalk. Well, just so happened a few days later, I was at that very same crosswalk, that very same sign, and I was about to step out, and I remembered your story. So I paused, and a car went right before me. You saved my life. I would have been flat. 2003 rolls around. I'm at a business meeting. I'm exchanging business cards. And I meet a man by the name of Mike. He happened to be a safety officer. He said he had changed his job after he'd hit someone with a car. I didn't think anything of it at the time, but he was a tall, pencil-thin man that looked a little familiar. Well, I was on my way home, I get home, I walk in and I bump my purse, it falls to the ground. And what happens but this piece of paper falls out. I pick it up. Couldn't believe it. This was from years before when I had exchanged insurance information with a man by the name of Mike. The Mike that I had just met. The Mike that had changed his job to a safety officer instead of an accident attorney after he hit someone with a car. And that someone was me. We've remained friends to this day. Fellow Toastmasters, I implore you to look for those opportunities, perhaps in a spilled glass of water, perhaps in an exchange of a business card, or maybe it's a split-second decision. Because you never know when a simple act, a kind word, might just trigger a chain reaction that will have immeasurable positive impact. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Karen, for that impactful speech. Madam Timer, may we have 2 minutes on the clock for our evaluators to prepare, please? Thank you, Madam Timer. Leading off with the visual evaluation of Karen's speech, please help me welcome Karen King.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Karen, one of the things that I thought created a very cohesive image of you doing your speech was the way everything matched. Your gestures, your eye contact with the audience, your ability to move about and have those movements be at the same pace as the words you were speaking. And even though you had no visual effect that I could, actually comment on, but the cohesiveness of your speech created a vision of someone who was genuinely out there sharing a story and describing a serendipitous moment. And it allowed me to visualize and think about some of the experiences I've had that were similar. those serendipitous moments that happen in our life just make us see things that we normally don't see or think about. And in your word pictures, you gave us that, the warmth. And the big hug was the very best. I wanted to just crawl right into that big hug. So thank you, Karen. I would like to maybe have seen a prop in this speech. You had everything else was there, and maybe a prop of some kind would be great. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Karen. Next, doing the vocal evaluation for Karen McNamara is again Khushbu Modi. Get her.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. I am gutted as I couldn't see you speak. Again, I had to hear you speak. But Karen, I felt this was a masterclass on how to effectively implement vocal variety in any speech. You had all the boxes checked. Well, to begin with, this was a speech that was supposed to sensitize me, and it very well did that with your powerful words. You managed to have great power in your voice. You managed to stress on important words like, I believe, when you said fast or when you said packed, hot, that emphasized those words. And again, in the end, when you delivered the message, the take-home message that you had, you again stressed on that message. So it was very powerful. You had the right pitch. The moment you said, gave her a big hug, or I willed it, it's just a miracle. Again, you raised your voice, and that strengthened and broadened the impact of those words. I felt you had right pauses everywhere. Loved the fact that before you cracked a joke, after you cracked a joke, the moment you said he was an accident attorney, you actually paused. And you paused for all of us to laugh. And you had the virtual applause of laughter, and incredibly done. I loved how you paused at the important areas of your speech. Pauses, yes. As I said, you had the pitch, you had the volume, you had pauses. You also had your own sound effect. I don't remember the sound that you made, but I think when you said I paused and then you made that sound, something like that, that definitely, again, created a nice verbal highlight. So you had your own sound effects as well in the speech. Love that. Now, as I said, there were many things you did effectively. I just have two quintessential recommendations for you to be slightly more effective, the next time you deliver the speech. Number one is I felt you did have a lot of voice modulation. What you did not have was, or I would have loved to see, a difference in the characters. So maybe have two different character voices. And the way the accident attorney spoke and you, Karen, spoke sounded the same to me. So maybe bringing about a difference in the character voices would help me understand the characters more. And the second feedback I have is I felt somewhere in the middle, you were a little fast. You spoke in a fast pace, which was slightly difficult for me to catch up. So if you just speak, I mean, overall, obviously you had, the pace was well maintained. However, in a few areas, if you manage to not speed up and continue to speak in the same tone, it would be easier for me to understand. As I said, I learned so much from you. Thank you so much for the speech. Over to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Khushbu. Evaluating content for Karen McNamara is Arun Shivaramakrishna. Please help me welcome Arun.
Thank you, Lindy. Karen, a simple act of kindness has the power to change a life. How many times have we heard this? But your story today was completely about this. Love that fact. You mentioned different examples as to how Miss Nelson changed your life and how you changed other lives. This was so good to hear, actually. A lot of learnings from the speech, and let me go over what you did great and where I feel potentially you could change one or two things. The first thing, when you mentioned about different examples, you portrayed it so well. Like, for example, you started off about like how you went to a party and how you had to wade through the crowd and find someone. So every example, or you mentioned about the time you were in DC and this incident happened. Every single example that you gave was such that we could picturize it so well in our minds. We could imagine you being there and this happening. So that was job well done. And I love the way you did everything in a chronological order, and you gave us specific examples like how Miss Nelson helped you, how you helped Sarah. And the best part was your speech was also sprinkled with humor here and there, like how you said, oh, ironically, he was an accident attorney. So overall, I would say this was a fantastic speech where specific examples clearly reinforce the point that you were trying to make. And definitely how it's a big takeaway for all of us that simple acts of kindness truly change people's lives. If I may recommend one or two suggestions, the first thing I would like to say is you did mention about the tall man who came to you in DC and gave him his insurance, gave you his insurance details. I would have liked to know how that conversation was, because at that point in time when I was picturizing everything that you were saying, this kind of threw me off. The other thing is you did mention that he is a good friend now. I would love to know what is, or he's a safety officer now is what you mentioned. I would love to know how do you both recall that previous incident and how that has impacted him and his life, because at the end of the day this story is all about how different simple acts of kindness impact people's lives. Overall, great story. Love the specific examples that you bring to the table, and was lovely hearing this. Thank you again, Karen.
Thank you so much, Arun. Now we move on to the round robin portion. Mr. Zoom Master, if we could have the gallery view, please.
And thank you. Oh, this is on. Okay, let me put my hand up here.
My gallery view and unable to get there. Here we go.
What are we doing?
I'm trying
Looks like
changing
Hazel
the
and
view so that
Judith.
I can see who's first. All
Oh,
right.
I see. So, okay.
I'm assuming the timer's hand is raised because she's the timer. So let's begin with Hazel.
Thank you, Toastmaster Lindy. I just want to say that your retelling of the car accident was so dramatic. Some people would say, oh, turned out I was all right. But you're like, no, I can move this. And I go, oh, I can't move this. Oh, I willed it and I did it. That was just such a dramatic telling. And I did also like the way you used the prompts with the paper, the purse, the business cards. You seemed very prepared. That was wonderful. And I think it's just a happy miracle that you actually had a chance to close the loop and see how those things affected other people, because oftentimes we're going through life and we don't get that feedback of, wow, that made a difference. So the fact that you were able to close multiple loops, that's awesome. Thank you. That's a wonderful, wonderful speech.
Thank you, Hazel. Judith.
I just love the beginning of the story. I just love this whole idea of going into a party and then we have to wait for who is this person that you're actually going to meet. And I thought that was absolutely so fabulous. I love this. And there we was, who is this person? Why is she in the party? And there she is. And I thought it was absolutely fabulous beginning of the story. Now, the thing is that I think that would be interesting is about the two mics. there was an interesting story here about the man that you had this accident with, and then the man that then you discovered when you got into your apartment that you actually know this person. And I think this whole story could have worked out somehow. It needed a little different transition in the speech, but I think you should really work on this speech again and put this whole Mike story together, because I think there's a lot of interesting ideas that at least I can think of how you can say whoever would have known that there is a guy who hit me become my best friend. So anyway, I think it's this is a great idea. Thank you.
Thank you, Judith. Anybody else like to contribute? Guests, just letting you know you are certainly welcome. Vivian, please go ahead.
Everything you did made me happy to hear your story. And Karen, the only thing that I can tell you is what you didn't say, meaning in the intro. And if I were the person introducing you, I would say, and you gotta hear this, people. This next presenter is gonna deliver a pause smash hit. There you go. Label yourself as somebody who delivers a smash hit and how it changes lives.
Oh, I like it. That took me a while. Boom, smash. Got it.
Hello.
Slow. Thank you, Vivian. Anyone else have something to contribute? And again, Lawrence and Mario, you're welcome to pipe up as well. Last call. All right. In that case, we are going to go to break. Before that, let me say that what's coming next is the third speaker, who's Abhijeet, who's going to be doing his presentation, long requested presentation on OBS, which is those backgrounds behind you and how to use those instead of PowerPoint. I've been wanting to know how to do that for ages, and I'm looking forward to it. So make sure you stick around. We are, however, going to take 5 minutes out. It's 7:28 now, so I'll see you back here at 7:33 or whatever, 33 after whatever hour it is where you are. See you soon.
Yeah. That's right. Exactly. Thank you for volunteering and for being here. Oh, yeah. I want to. Yeah, that's too. Yes, I appreciate that. Yeah. I know, yeah, yeah. Self-assessment. I'm interested to hear Abhijeet too, because I've seen him do this before where he's had the PowerPoint behind him, but he's still in the picture. Yeah. And I'm not familiar with software to do it, so I mean, I'm curious to see how this goes.
Kushbu, how was your evaluation contest?
Hey. Yeah, so I did win the area contest. Now up the division. Yeah.
When is the division?
It's on December 17th.
Good, good. Keep practicing, okay?
Yeah.
In what district?
District 128 or 99? Kushbu?
98. Yeah.
98.
Way to jump in with both feet tonight, Kushbu. Delightful to hear your insightful evaluations.
Thank you. Do you have any feedback for me?
I do not. I'll leave that to our general evaluator. She focuses on the evaluations, but I've really enjoyed what I heard you do. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Also, the general evaluator gives an evaluation to all the evaluators as well.
Yes, although there's so many evaluators, it's tough for her to do all that in the 3 to 4 minutes that we give her. But yes, that is what she focuses on.
Looking forward. Yeah.
Vivian, are you still there?
Yes, I'm here, my dear.
Would you like to be the visual evaluator for Abhijeet?
Sure, if Abhijeet will let me.
Not you, Vivian, again.
He's getting an overdose of me.
I think that will work nicely. We will enjoy having your contribution. I will give Karen King a break on that last one. Okay.
Thank you. Happy to serve. Lindy, I saw the light bulb go on top of your head when you got this smash hit. It went bing.
Well, that took me. I'm embarrassed. That took me a little while, but I'm glad I finally got it.
That's what you get when you hang around with an improv artist. My recommendation is get a coffee mug, put some beer in it, and you'll get it really fast.
There you go. There you go. Well done. All right, we are at the 7:33 mark. Let me see if looks like we have most of our faces back with us. Very good. Let me make sure. Judith, have you returned as well? Yes, she's there. Okay, wanted to make sure since she's one of our evaluators. Okay. All right, before I introduce him, just to verify that our evaluators for Abhijeet are going to be Vivian on the visual, on vocals, Sandra Kolb, and content, Judith Ferber. Let's see about getting two of us spotlighted here. There we go. Abhijeet, can you see the timer?
Yes.
And are you ready, my friend?
Yes, I'm ready.
Wonderful. Abhijeet is working from the dynamic leadership path. It seems like everyone's doing that tonight. He's working from level 4 elective, the question and answer session, and the time is 15 to 20 minutes. Have you ever pondered the dominance of PowerPoint as it seamlessly engulfs our entire screen during presentations? It often seems as though all the power shifts to the slides. But fear not, as a speaker, you can reclaim control. Discover the path to empowerment through OBS, Open Broadcast Studio. Join this segment for a live demonstration and an overview of the prerequisites for utilizing OBS to regain your speaking prowess. With this presentation entitled Getting Your Power Back, please help me welcome Abhijeet Joshi.
Three years ago, there was this guy named Michael. He came to our club, the Multimedia Magicians. That day, he demonstrated something. He told us how to use the OBS so that you can be like a weatherman. I was thinking to myself, this is going to be so hard. I am not even going to bother. A couple of weeks went by, and I got a chance to present at a club. And at that moment, I took a little bit of courage. I said, maybe I can just give it a try. And that moment was the changing moment because I was able to get my power back. And today I'm going to show you how to get your power back by doing are using the OBS. My first question to you is, how much does our body communicates? What is the percentage of communication through our body? Karen King.
Oh, it's extremely important to
Yeah.
communicate through the body, the hands,
And
the eyes,
how,
arms, everything.
how much is the percentage we communicate through our body?
I bet I would say at least 33% or 45%.
Very close. Arun, what do you think?
I would think non-verbal communication, like probably 50%.
Very close. Judy, any ideas?
Yeah, I was gonna push it way up to like 70%.
Actually, we communicate through our body. Our body language is 55% of the communication. But what happens when we do a PowerPoint presentation using a share screen? We become tiny bit. What people see is just our PowerPoint. They don't see us. They don't see what we are trying to communicate through our face. But when we use OBS, I can have 50% of my power back. I can still show the image and still be there on the screen, communicating through my facial expressions, through my eyes. Before I give the demo, I want to go through the requirements. What are the requirements for using the Open Broadcast Studio? Let's find out. The first one, the green screen. Here is another green screen. If I wear the green screen, see what happens. Magic happens when I have a green screen in front of me. So this green screen is very expensive. You can buy it from Amazon.com for 20 bucks. I think each one of us can afford that. The next requirement, the OBS Broadcast Studio software. And this is the most expensive software you will ever buy. It is $0. And you can use it on Windows as well as on Apple. This I learned the hard way. I used to have an IBM ThinkPad. I was trying to use OBS with that. But later on, I realized that my computer has gotten very slow. And I wanted to do many of these presentations. So I decided to invest in a MacBook Pro. And that helped me to make sure when I'm presenting, it's seamless. So you need a high performance laptop. Here you have to invest. Another thing, you have to change the way you design the slides. I cannot have my slide full. I have to have it 50% so that we can share it. The do's and the don'ts have to be there. Mostly I have my slides 50% only. This slide was bigger, that's why I wanted to show you how it takes over my screen. If I stand in front of it, people cannot see it. So we have to design the slide in such a way that they can see me as well as the image behind me. I'm going to give you a copy of this presentation so you will have each and everything with you. Plus, we are going to give you the recording that will help you to understand how to use OBS. This setting I had to learn, and I will show you where the setting is on. The setting is on the PowerPoint slide setup. And I have to select that browsed by an individual window. Because if I don't select that, it becomes very hard for me to share my PowerPoint. So click that. I'll come back to that again. And another thing is, I have a couple of windows open. I have Zoom window. I also have PowerPoint window. What happens is, Right now, if I touch my Zoom window, I made it into a gallery view. I lose the connection to my PowerPoint. I cannot change it. So I have to make sure my PowerPoint is my active window. I just clicked on it to make it active. So make sure your PowerPoint window is active. A clicker becomes easy because then I don't have to go back and forth. Because when you go back and forth, sometimes it can be seasickness for your audience. So I learned the hard way that I need to be as stationary as possible and move whenever I need to make a point. As I told you, the active window and not inactive window. This is an example of that. We'll go through it. So let's get started. Let's start with the demo. Let me show you something. I'll share my screen first and I'll remove my OBS software. So when I remove my OBS software, you see my green screen. It's the same screen which the weatherman uses at the back. Now you see when I share my screen, my screen share takes 95% of my screen. So this is my OBS window. I'm going to start from scratch. I'm going to remove everything. If I want to buy OBS, this is the software. This is the just you say obsproject.com. You can just download it and install it on your laptop. Once you have that, the window opens like this. There is nothing on the window. Okay. I have to tell the two things to my OBS software. The first thing which I want to tell it is my video capture device. What is my video capture device is going to be? Right now, my video is coming through my laptop camera. But when I use the OBS, my video comes from my OBS software. So I need to add the video source. So I click the plus sign on the bottom. You can see the plus sign. I just click there. Okay. Once I click there, I see that there is a video capture device. I click that and I click OK. And I have to select my video capture device. My video capture device is going to be my FaceTime HD camera. Stuff happens when you don't want it to happen. So I added the video capture and then added my FaceTime camera. I click OK. Now what happens is I need to add a filter. This is why I need to add the filter. Because I want to have the green screen come into picture. I need to tell the OBS that I am using the green screen. How do I do that? So I add the filters and there is a button, there is a plus sign. I click that and the chroma key comes into picture. I select the chroma key. I select OK and it selects green color. Right now, my default is in green color because the the green screen, the screen can be of different colors. It can be green, it can also be blue. But today I only have a green screen. So I selected the green color. And I close it. Now I have the video capture device. Now I want to capture my PowerPoint. So I have to have my screen capture on. So I'm going to use my screen capture. For that, I use the Mac OS screen capture. I select that, I click OK. And now it gives me an option. Which screen do I want to capture? And here I select try it. What's up? So here I change from display capture to Windows capture, because if I do just display capture, it doesn't shows me all the options. But if I select Windows capture, it shows me all the options. So these are the different windows that I have it open, but I want to only select the PowerPoint window. So I'm selecting my PowerPoint window. I click OK. Now here I have to make some adjustments. The first thing is I want to make my picture to be in front of my PowerPoint. So I move that. I click it here. I do this. Now my PowerPoint has gone behind me, but I still need to adjust my PowerPoint window. I'm going to adjust in such a way that it fills the complete window. I will move it a little bit up to hide the black portion of it. Now, if you see, I'm able to maximize my window. You can see my picture. And how do I show this now? Right now, you're seeing my green screen, but I want to show this picture, what you're seeing. So what I do is I start my virtual camera. I started my virtual camera and I go to my zoom setting. My zoom setting will start showing another camera, which is the OBS camera. So when I go to my zoom setting, if I change my camera to OBS virtual camera, it will start showing my virtual camera. This is how it looks for me, so you have an idea. This is my OBS. I sometimes minimize this window, but I have my PowerPoint in the corner. This is where I can advance my slides. I make my PowerPoint window small. Mostly when I'm using PowerPoint, I know all my slides by heart, so I don't need to look at it. Mostly I only use pictures. I rarely use text. And that helps me to navigate my windows. If I have it full, then I cannot see who is on the screen. Mostly I'll have my Zoom and PowerPoint window 50-50. So I know who is in the room and what are their expressions. I can navigate my audience while I'm still presenting. Let's go through the questions. Any questions? Yes.
Can you review how I missed how you put your picture in front of the PowerPoint. That was back a few steps.
Perfect. Let's do that. I will go back. So I select, so there are two things, video capture and screen capture. Okay. So here is this arrow. If I press this, now I am behind my screen capture. Okay. I want to bring myself in the front. So I just use this arrow. Okay. I put my cursor on video capture and then use this up arrow and my source will come in front. Any other questions?
I have one.
Sure. Go ahead.
Are you using a projector for to do your slides, or is everything happening on one computer?
It's happening, everything happening on one computer.
That's great.
One more thing I want to show you. See, this is my PowerPoint slide. I have to adjust my slide. Initially, when I started out, it was like this, like it was showing this black, and I don't want that. I need to adjust my slide. So I will adjust my slide so that it only shows the complete, yeah, I can maximize my frame of my PowerPoint.
And another thing, are you coming from PowerPoint? I mean, I assume PowerPoint's running the whole time and then oh,
Yes,
you're using both another camera to get you, right?
So what happens is my OBS takes in the camera feed from the Facebook camera.
Okay.
Okay. And right now it becomes a virtual camera, and that virtual camera is captured by Zoom.
Okay.
It's automatic. You don't have to worry about that.
Okay.
What if you,
Yes, go ahead, Judy.
what if you don't have a FaceTime camera?
No, any camera, your laptop camera.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Yeah. Just
Oh,
the
so this
app.
uses FaceTime.
No, it's just Apple has every camera has a name. Apple calls their camera as FaceTime camera.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, so question is it possible that you can move the person, in this case, that is you, to one corner of the screen? Because every slide might have different images and sometimes it tends to come closer to the center. And when you are presenting, you are at the center blocking the image. So is there a way that can be adjusted?
Yes. So here, if you see, I have not gone into it. This is something called as scene selection. Okay. You can have different scenes in there where I can be here, or I can be here, or I can take the full window, or I can make myself very small.
Nice.
So here I can add different scenes.
Got it. Thank you.
Well, why don't you add a different scene? Let's see how that works.
Okay. So I added a different scene.
Abhijeet, can you talk while you're doing that?
Yes, I'm trying to, yes, definitely. I'm trying to create the same thing again. And now let me see if my video capture is working. I'm selecting the device. Okay. And then making sure I have my color chroma key selected. Close.
Oh, well.
Yeah. And now if I'm having my camera, I want to do it a different scene. And now see if I have to, I'm back. So I want to bring myself in the front. So this is a different scene.
That's similar to the other thing.
Yeah, just, yeah. See how it changes?
Yeah.
And I can have a different combinations and stuff like that. I can move myself in the screen.
And so if you're presenting along and you want to change that mid-presentation, is that
Yes.
something you do?
Yeah, mostly I don't use it because then I have to have another window I need to navigate. So I just stick to my PowerPoint. I can do it if I want to, but I don't try to do it because I want to focus on the audience and my presentation. And if I have a full screen, I just disappear so that they can see the full screen and then I'll come into the picture.
Yeah. You said that it needs a high performance laptop?
Yes, it's a better performance. You want to have a good RAM. I have a 16 GB RAM on my laptop. So one thing I learned is my previous laptop was hanging. It made it slow. This has a seamless transition. And it's not very expensive. RAM is not that expensive to add.
How much did the RAM cost?
It depends upon the laptop. Like mostly you can get it, even you can get it $600, $700. You can get a laptop with a good RAM.
But you can always add this to it, actually.
Yes,
You
it
can
depends
add
upon the
that to
laptop.
your
Yeah, it
laptop.
depends upon the laptop too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have a monitor?
No, I don't have a monitor.
So you can't see what you're projecting.
No, Miss.
Wow,
Yeah, I don't have a monitor. No, I just
that's
have my
tough.
laptop screen.
That's tough.
Yeah, you get
I
used
would,
to it, you know. Yeah.
oh, I think you would have to. It'd
Yeah.
take a lot of practice.
Yes, I've done 150 presentations on OBS, so you get used to it.
Uh-huh.
Abhijeet, Vivian
Yes,
here.
yes, Vivian.
I understand as I follow you.
Mhm.
However, senior moments hit my brain as soon as you say, back to you, Toastmaster. Oh my goodness, I go into ga, ga, ga. How do I remember anything? What do
Yes.
we do?
So for you to remember, just first of all, first time when you do it, what I did was I followed the video. I just noted down, I wrote down the steps, what he was doing. And same thing I would encourage you when you go through, if you want to do this, go through this video, write down the steps as I'm doing it, and then start your setup. If you get stuck, message me, I'll help you out. Otherwise, it can be a very seamless process. But go through the requirements, my presentation first, because the requirements are very, very helpful. Like one thing which I said to you before, I want to show it to you about the slide setup. Okay, that is very important because I got stuck. I was like, okay, why something is not working? Okay, so this is my slide. Okay, so when I open, this is my PowerPoint. If you go to the slideshow, there is this setup slideshow. I want you to click that. And there are three options in there, presented by a speaker or browsed by an individual window. So select the browsed by an individual window. This is a very important setting. So make sure you select that. And another thing is you cannot have full screen for any windows. Um, make it smaller. Just go through one step by step, give it a try, then makes it easy. You never know until you try it. And once the setup is done, you can just use the same setup again and again and again. I don't change my setup usually.
Abhijeet, I'm going to cut you off in the interest of time. Will you put your
Yes.
contact information in the chat? And
Yes.
I am recording the meeting and I will post it and email it out to all of you, so you will have access to it. But if you would also give people your personal contact information or how you'd like them to contact you with questions.
Yes, definitely. I'll put it in the chat, and also I'll put the presentation in the chat.
Perfect. Madam Timer, will you give us 2 minutes on the clock, please, for the evaluators? Thank you, Madam Timer. We will now kick off the evaluation portion for Abhijeet with Vivian on visuals. Please welcome Vivian.
Thank you, Lindy. Maximum how many minutes?
2 to 3. You'll be seeing the timer on the screen here.
Thank you. Abhijeet, I love you. You now look more relaxed, and I have a sneaky feeling that is not coffee in your mug. Whatever it is, good for you. There. Does everybody recall his first line? To my memory, it was 3 years ago, and I'm like, wow, dramatic. And the second one was, wow, I see an 11. Abhijeet. That Lindy, see what Lindy's doing? It's a private joke, and you all know this by now. It's those 2 lines between the eyebrows, the number 11. See how cute you are when you're smiling? Keep that face. I know the emotions behind that 11. It's wanting to emphasize. But if you recall your face just a while ago when you were laughing, use that face when you want to emphasize. And it helps us to connect. Remember, people feel what you feel. So when the 11 makes you look worried, we get worried as well. So enough about that. Moving forward, the next thing I saw was that cute little square when you said this tiny square, and you look like a kindergarten teacher. You showed the square with your fingers and your hands. That is very cute. I want to let people know that what you did is what they want to do when they're talking about shapes, they're talking about signs. Literally, use sign language. All right? And you want to perhaps say it 3 times during your speech that you are the weatherman. You are the weatherman. You are the weatherman. Why do I tell you that? Because it brainwashes them to think you're an expert, because the weatherman is an expert. And you might want to show, just for humor, one blooper where you say, to my right, and it shows it to the left. Whoops. Again, when you're more human, they love you because you connect. And again, your trademark movement, to me, this is the Abhijeet trademark, is when you want to emphasize, you get charmingly near the screen. The reason I say the word charmingly for everyone's attention, because it's just the right amount. Some people get too near, I can see what's inside their nostrils. Don't do that. Abhijeet has mastered that. Now, you can see where we can see you now all the way to your waistline. That is the perfect number of inches or feet that are covered so that we can see your hand movements. I do not know how to do that on green screen, but you had a lot of movements with your hands that I missed out on. To wrap this up, because I'm being threatened by the red light, remember the default, there, the default, don't put your hands behind your back. Ooh, that's not sexy. There, put it in front. Remember the steeple, come on, do a steeple, Abhijeet, you can do this. Steeple your fingers, steeple your hands, there, something like that. There you go. Well, not so prayerful, not too holy, please. Just enough. Watch the weatherman. You'll know what to do with your hands. And I gotta go. I'm gonna get electrocuted by this red light. Okay, bye for now. I hope I was helpful. Love you.
Thank you so much, Vivian. And now, doing vocals, we bring on Sandra Cole.
Thank you, Lindy. And thank you, Abhijeet, so much for your very informative talk on OBS. I've been waiting to hear about this for a very long time. It was really excellent, and thank you for that. I am evaluating you vocally, Abhijeet. What I found is that your rate wasn't too fast or too slow. You had excellent articulation, and the volume worked very well for me. I would like to commend you on the use of pause. I appreciate, particularly while teaching, that you use pause for the learning to sink in gave me time to think. It gave me time to actually be with you, to experience you. And as you talked through the demonstration, you weren't rushing the demonstration and you weren't rushing the information. It was a very good match. And for me, because I am new at OBS, that's exactly what I needed. So thank you for that. I found that your voice has a very pleasant quality. It's understandable. And that is very important in teaching, because if we cannot understand you, you cannot teach successfully. You started out with a storytelling voice 3 years ago. Right away, I was with you. That really brought me in vocally. And then with the questions, again, you paused, you gave me time to think, you gave time for engagement with the audience, which is very important for me. Perhaps a way to take this to a higher level vocally, I'm wondering, is there a way that we can bring in more exaggerated excitement at those exciting times? I heard excitement, however, when you said, when I use OBS, I get my power back. Well, just ramp that up a notch, really bring it on, OBS, because that's what you're conveying with, with Abhijeet, that's what you're conveying with OBS, is getting our power back. So really bring on the excitement. Are there any points that are perhaps more frustrating, or that perhaps caused you challenges where you can bring in a bit of that emotion too? But overall, I really thought you did an excellent job vocally. Just remember to always speak when you teach. We had that very long pause, and perhaps more variety of the emotion. But overall, very pleasing, great articulation, great teaching rate, a good engagement with your pause vocally, and also your voice quality. Thank you so much, Abhijeet. Excellent job. And now, are we back to Judith? Judith for the content. Thank you.
Thank you. Where do I start? Okay, so the thing is that I think I have remembered this presentations once before. I am a little bit lost about the power back. I don't actually know what is the power that you lost and what you're getting back. I don't know. And I don't know about Mike. So I don't know, there is Mike, you saw Mike, and then we never saw Mike again. So did you talk to him about this? Who is he and how? And that was that. Okay. So my general thing is, I also not too sure about the body language, but since you wanted to do this OBS, so I think that for me, since I don't know much about this or anything, is the fact that it's very important at first at the beginning. It took a long time before we actually learned that it's an open broadcast software. It came in sometimes after all of these body language. So the thing is that I think you need to tell us, why do we need OBS? Why do we just okay with our PowerPoint presentation? Because this, as I learned about this a little bit, it's mostly for video production, right? And streaming. And so what do we do with knowing about OBS in here, in our Toastmaster presentation? Second is, it's very important to tell people how to download it, that it's free. And and I just like to have the comparison, build the old-fashioned PowerPoint and OBS, because you went through all the steps, but it's so terribly complicated unless we have this downloaded and we look at this together. So then we will, you know, adjust this, adjust that, and million different things. And so, but without all of it, I think just in general, I think it would be a good idea to tell us, why do I need this? And what do I get out of this? Because the main thing is, that you want to tell us that we definitely need this because with an OBS, we can do presentation, we can stand here, we can stand there, and you know, what are we going to do next? So yeah, and so then you have to go through the steps, how to download it. It doesn't cost anything, and whatever else we need to do this. And you don't need to talk about Mike. And so I think we can just forget Mike since we don't know who Mike is. Anyway, but it certainly was very educational, and thank you for doing it. Okay, back to you, Lindy.
Thank you, Judith. And now we'll go to a short round robin. And I'm just going to get us back to gallery view. Here we go. Hazel, go ahead.
Abhijeet, I have to say that I heard this OBS thing mentioned, and truthfully, up until tonight, I had no idea what OBS was, and I consider myself kind of aware of technology stuff. So I did, though, catch the getting your power back, that was getting it back from PowerPoint, because you said PowerPoint tends to dominate, and so you cannot see the person. That was clear to me, but then it wasn't until when you're setting the PowerPoint on your setup, and you knew that was the active window, I thought it was either OBS or PowerPoint up until we got to that point. So it wasn't clear to me that this was an adjunct to PowerPoint that was going to allow you to use it as a backdrop. I thought it was instead of PowerPoint. Excuse me, I like the weatherman analogy. I did think when you shared your pie chart, I thought it was great that you got people's input on how much body language is, but I'd love for you to say what these 7% and the 38% are as well, because I had to look that up because I didn't remember. So that would be a useful thing. So I'm excited to try it. I think it'll be a great resource, and I appreciate you for introducing me to it. Thank you.
Thank you, Hazel. Elena.
Oh, thank you, Lindy. You lower my hand. You know, Judith was dancing around a really great idea in her evaluation. I think she almost said it, but I didn't hear it clearly. If you could do it technically, show us what your presentation looks like at the beginning using the old-fashioned share screen PowerPoint. How lousy that is. And then bring it in the OBS, because then we would see it right away, what the difference is. But yeah, great. Thank you for bringing this to us, because I had not heard of OBS until now. I didn't know we were all clamoring for this because I didn't know what it was.
Thank you, Elena. Hazel, did you have something to add?
Yes, I wanted to add that I loved your invisibility trick. That was super cool.
Thank you, Hazel. We have an interesting perspective in this club. I realize I've gotten so used to Abhijeet's use of OBS and we have so few other people who use PowerPoint. So we aren't dealing very often with that horrible thing where the speaker all of a sudden, you know, they see them this much of the speaker and the rest of the PowerPoint screen. So I am spoiled by the elegance that you bring to us, and thank you for breaking it down. And I agree with Judith that being more straightforward about it's free instead of using the humorous back, it's the most expensive, just because it's just a little confusing. Thank you. It was a wonderful presentation. Anyone else have something to offer? Judy?
Yes, I just wanted to make a comment because you do add humor, and so I love humor. I want more humor. I think Vivian was agreeing with that. But when you talked about and Lindy just described it, the going back and forth to kind of keep forwarding it, and you referred to it as, we don't want you to have seasickness. And I just thought that was hysterical.
Vivian, you have something else?
Yes.
in any handbook in Toastmasters, they don't tell you what to wear or not wear. But please remind people for OBS, maybe you want to have it as a runner on top of your head, which says, wear any color except green, 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 green. You will disappear. You'll be a talking head. Love you.
Excellent point. Thank you. With that, we are going to move on to our general evaluator report. Here to give us feedback to the evaluators, please help me welcome our generous general evaluator, Sandra Kolb.
Thank you, Lindy. Well, what another wonderful evening of great learning opportunities. I would like to thank Lindy for starting the meeting exactly on time. I love the rocket power to speaker growth. That was a great visual for me and a wonderful motto for this club, actually. Welcoming guests and then right away turning the meeting over to Hazel, who also welcomed guests. That's one thing we're really strong with at this club, and I truly appreciate that. And then Hazel's interview of Khushbu, which was very conversational. Hazel, you have that, you bring that wonderful quality with you when you interview our new members. So it was very nicely done. And like I said, conversational, the questions that we all wanted to hear and the wonderful answers to them. Lindy, I really liked how you verified with each of the speakers about the timing, the timer, the camera, the sound, and were they ready, taking care of all of those points of order before you brought on their introductions. I really appreciated also, Lindy, how you introduced the speakers in such conversational ways and expressive ways, vocally and visually. You brought in the vocal variety, that those dynamics, as well as the visuals, to bring their introductions to life. And as speakers, we really appreciate that. Those introductions are so important to our speakers and how they set up the audience for us. So very well done, Lindy. For the evaluators, Karen, you provided feedback to Elena. You asked her to slow down her hand actions to perhaps strengthen her speech, and to have perhaps plan for contrast of attire with the background. And you commended her on painting those word pictures, those visual images that you saw along with her visually with her words. However, Karen, it would be very helpful in your evaluations to also include a summary for us to be able to take away those points with us. So thank you. Khushbu, excellent vocal evaluations. You had great clarity. You provided great clarity of vocals and vocal cadence to Elena on her strengths of her speech. You encouraged more pauses, and you also illustrated that in a sentence. That was excellent. What you also provided was a wonderful summary too. Judith, you talked about the content and how much you learned, and that how much you learned from Elena's speech, how profound it was for you, and that you encouraged Elena to begin at the personal experience of the content, and then to go into the research, to perhaps transition some of our opening into her introduction, and you summarized what you liked and the learning. Judy, you said you loved the great phrases and the cocktail of chemicals, the word choice, for choices for Elena's speech. For Karen's speech, we had Karen King doing the visual again. You said how you enjoyed how the movement and the words matched. You picked up the word pictures, like the big hug, and you were in it. Another suggestion that I might have again is that summary, how important it might be. And she also did have a prop, which was that piece of paper. Perhaps you were thinking that she could include even further props. Khushbu, again, another excellent vocal evaluation. You commented on how she paused for laughter, great emphasis of words, and it was a master class on vocal variety. I just loved how you phrased that. to improve, you said that perhaps she could take on character voices for her characters within her speech, and that it was a bit fast in the middle and just to slow down a bit. Again, an excellent summary. Arun, I need to bring up my timer. Oh my goodness. So now I see I'm in the red. So I must stop. I didn't realize, I apologize. I didn't have the timer up on my screen. So I must stop. But thank you so much, everyone, for a wonderful meeting and turning it over to our Toastmaster.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. We certainly appreciate your service to us. Judy, would you like to give us a quick timers report? There's nothing quick about a timers report in our club, but go ahead.
Okay, just wanted to unmute. Elena, your speech was 5 minutes and 48 seconds. Karen King, you were 1:30. Kushbu, you were 2 minutes 54 seconds, and Judith 2 minutes 57 seconds. Our round robin was 2 minutes and 9 seconds. Second speaker, Karen. Your speech was 6 minutes and 52 seconds. Karen King, 2 minutes and 7 seconds. Kushbu, 3 minutes, 11 seconds. And Arun, 2 minutes, 52 seconds. The round robin was 4 minutes and 3 seconds. Abhijeet, our third speaker, your speech was 24 minutes and 15 seconds when Lindy ended that. For visual, Vivian, you spoke for 3 minutes and 54 seconds. Sandra, 2 minutes and 44 seconds. Judith, 3 minutes and 10 seconds. And the round robin there was 4 minutes and 32 seconds. Our GE stopped at 4 minutes and 45 seconds, Sandra.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Timer. Sorry, I was trying to double task, and yes, here I am back. I'm going to wrap up here now. One thing is, most of you are already signed up for our newsletter, but if you're not, please get on our newsletter list. It's a way to keep track of these excellent presentations that come. We do focus on trying to offer a lot of value to our guests as well as our members. And please, our guests, we love you so much. Please come be members. We would love that too. Our next meeting is a holiday celebration. And that is, when I say holiday celebration, I mean that. Now, we'll each of us come from our own culture. So bring whatever holiday you have to celebrate along with us. You can sign up. If you're a club member, you do not need to sign up, except you do need to sign up on the Google Sheet. Hazel, do you have that link handy? Hazel's going to kindly put in the chat the Google Sheet link, which is where you say that you want to do a song, a poem, a story, or whatever, so that we can plan the meeting. And so and if you are not a club member, then you need to go to Eventbrite. I'm going to put that link in the chat here. Actually, I can go somewhere else and copy it so that you get registered for the meeting. And you also, as you're getting registered for the meeting, in the text of the description, you will find the Google Sheet link there. So there you go. That's how to sign up for our meeting if you're not already a member. If you are a member, you get to the meeting the same way as usual, but you still need to use Hazel's Google Sheet to let us know what you would like and how much time you need, so she can plan. She's the ceremony lady of the evening.
I did just add to the chat, so click on the Google spreadsheet and you can sign up.
Excellent. Now, I am quickly going to hand this back to our lovely President Hazel Booth with thanks to all of you for stepping in. Once again, if you find you've been eliminated from the agendas, please let Linda Wu know what happened and what you would like to have happen. And that way, maybe we can try to figure out what's going on and make sure that you aren't taken away when we don't want you to be taken away. Back to you, Hazel.
Thank you. What a great meeting. And I do not see any guests here for me to connect with. It looks like all of our guests have had to drop off unless I'm missing something.
Vivian is still here. That's who we have.
Vivian's a familiar face. She's barely a guest. Would you like to weigh in, Miss Vivian, on how the meeting was for you?
Every time I come here, I can see that you're moving up a notch. And remember, 2024, you want to have a little talk show segment in your Facebook, little segments, and make it your professionally speaking talk show. Why not?
Right. You're nothing if you're not consistent, are you? Thank you, Vivian, for that sage advice on repeat. Would anyone else like to weigh in before we conclude this meeting? Anything else? And someone would like to share? No? All in favor of going home 5 minutes early, say aye. Oh, that's right, you are.
I just want to say, Sandra, I absolutely love the frame of your glasses. They are absolutely just so beautiful. When you were speaking, I couldn't take my eyes off. I thought, wow, what a wonderful frame this is. Anyway, so just wanted to add this. It's really very beautiful frame.
Well, thank you. I don't think it's probably the best choice for speaking, but I was casual tonight.